Hi everyone, welcome to the DevHacks 360 and a weekly episode of our podcast about test automation. As always, we have Vasyl in the studio with me today, and today we're going to cover a super sensitive topic for everybody who's in the market right now searching for the web automation role. We call it 5 hurdles that define a senior SDET. After conducting thousands of interviews over the years, in particular just 2024, we have probably over 100 interviews and different what we call assessments during the interviews. We revealed those 5 common mistakes the beginners make, right, which actually fail their interviews. And in today's podcast, we go through all of them in details. Not only that, we will show the code that associated by showing what are actually where those folks are running short and how to fix it. So stay until the end, because that's going to become your killer secret recipe to pass interviews. And for those who are already employed, will help you to differentiate yourself in your team and get salary upgrades in 2025. Before we move further, I would like you to hit like button if you like our content, subscribe to our channel, and hit notification button if you would like to get notification when we are release our podcast weekly. Without further ado, I would like to thank our sponsors, Marathon Labs, the only software as a service solution out there that enables you to run thousands of mobile tests under 15 minutes, which is actually enables you to shift left and run your test each pull request. You can find the link for Marathon Labs down below. Please hashtag Marathon in the comments below, and we'll give you 50 hours for free to try it out. Also, Engenious University. Engenious University is the only online university for test automation engineers where the content get updated weekly. I'm not lying. Every week we release content for the Playwright courses, for the XUI test for IES automation on a weekly basis, so we never get out of date. On top of this, we have a Discord channel, a dedicated Discord channel where you can ask questions from instructors and fellow students. So we're building community around this. More than that, you can sign up for free to try it. And we have free courses for those who are just would like to dive in test automation world. Again, you can find the link for the Engenious University down below in description. And let's move on. Vasyl, thank you so much for joining today. And let's dive into these 5 hurdles together.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So obviously, we're going to cover 5 most important things that you and me find out when we went through all these interviews, all the code bases of different projects, right? And I'm going to share with the community is how to bump yourself from the beginner into the advanced in this tough market right now, right? And the first hurdle is actually dealing with scalable architecture. Although a lot of folks are using page object model, which everybody knows in different framework like Selenium, Playwright, Cypress, although Cypress is actually against it. But we noticed that they're not doing it correctly. And for the even most beginners, they don't use it at all. So what Vasyl going to show right now is what it actually means as scalable architecture in context of Playwright. I'm going to share the tips and tricks how to improve it and show to either your interviewer or your boss at your work to actually level up in your career. Vasyl?
Thank you, Igor. I'm taking the screen. So I prepared the sample project for today, and there is 5 points for us, as you can understand from the title of this video. And for each of them, I prepared them kind of 2 separate test files. And first of all will be for rookie, and the second one will be for the pro or senior web automation engineer. And basically, what I want to show you now is actually my pain point, because after seeing multiply homework from the folks we did interview, I saw a lot of the common mistakes around doing the homework, especially when somebody avoid this page object model or implement it in the wrong way. In here, you can see the perfect test example. I know the Playwright also would show something like that, and but this test will completely work, of course, if I put the proper links here, right? But the thing is, I guess for anybody on the first glance, it's totally unreadable, right? We can understand this a login test, but if you go further, you have no idea what field we are filling the username or password, right? We can read it out of the context, but the point is, you need to spend time to understand it. And so, as a new fresh QA, I also used to write it my test like that. But let's have a look. What would the senior do with such test case? The first of all, you can see that everything is actually simply described, and every action is described. This is why we need a page object model in here. And from this test, we completely understand what we are doing. I don't need even to look at the test description, right? The answer is simple. This is because of the page object model. And this is not the perfect page object model, though, but the thing is, we at least have it instead of the rookie SDET. Also, in our courses, we are showing how to even improve those page object model and how to write better page object model, because right there you can see we will have the multiply elements, right? And instead of those, we want to have the separate components, like for input or for buttons. But still, I would actually prefer such page object model instead of don't have it at all.
Well, that's great. You're absolutely right. Page objects, it's a sensitive topic. And I've seen, like I said, it becomes an anti-pattern under Cypress community. They're totally against it. However, a simple page object model make your test more maintainable, which is the most important thing, because a lot of teams spending 80% on test code maintenance rather than writing new tests. Again, because due to the time frame of this podcast, we're not going to go nitty-gritty details of how to go from simple page object model by applying solid principles. However, if you never heard about solid principles, Vasyl going to include the link down below in the video description that will actually pertain into the more scalable page object model. And for the matter of fact, in advanced course that Vasyl is actually crafting right now, and you can find it on Engenious University, we reveal those solid principles and how to actually how to refactor your page object model, that it actually will shine up not only with the web engineers and your like entire like if your application in React or Vue or Next.js written, so these engineers will appreciate it, but also your management will appreciate its improvement, obviously, because your maintenance will decrease drastically, right? So I think that topic cannot be ignored. If you'd like to find out more about what is actually the scalable page object pattern for the web automation with Playwright, again, we're going to put the in the description the link to the module of the our course where we actually bring some details.
I want to add more to this. We actually have the whole separate module where we actually first trying to understand the solid principles and why those are important, and at the end we actually using those solid principles to build the bulletproof page object model. So don't hesitate to check it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vasyl, for sharing the great example. So let's move to the second hurdle, and this is handling synchronous operation in web applications. This is where many actually web SDETs struggle, and I've seen a lot of pull requests which actually were failing because of this. So Vasyl, please share the solution for how to omit this particular problem that a lot of beginners make.
That's right. So again, I remember those WebDriver IO times where, I used to write the timeouts a lot because obviously I was a rookie too, right? But the thing is, the Playwright also, with its functionality and APIs, helping us to write less wait for timeouts, something. But the thing is that for some reason you still need it, like waiting for the network to be resolved, etc., etc. Playwright is actually super useful at that point. But I see a lot of seniors, Igor, still writing the wait for timeout. They're still waiting for something, and they are not using the network interceptors, etc. Or this is the completely unfamiliar thing for them. So in this test case, you can instantly say that this is the first thing I'm gonna ask at the code review stage. Why you are using this wait timeout? Why not to write, simple interceptor? I know it could be hard, but with the current tools like Copilot and ChatGPT, we can done it easily. So for that case, on the side of senior SDET, you would see something like that. You would first mock the network request, or either if you don't want to mock for some reason, you will just intercept it. And of course, we would need to update the page object model for that case, and to create the appropriate mocking methods to actually mock such request, right? So we have a stable test, and at the end, we are 100% sure that this test will have the, like, all right, let's 99% sure that this test will have the great stability instead of flakiness.
Absolutely. Let me. You mentioned two things. So there are like explicit, implicit waits, right, where you wait for certain elements. You touch a very sensitive topic because it's actually has in-depth analysis and cover multiple things. So number one problem with asynchronous calls, because you don't know when the elements appear on the screen, and how you handle it defines if you're a beginner or a senior level as that web automation engineer. And what I've seen through the code reviews, Vasyl, that I've personally seen before, that first of all, like you said, hard-coded sleeps still exist. And this is nightmare because this is like worse than ever. They create a flakiness in test, and flaky test is actually worse rather than have a real, no test. I would rather test manual than automate. So
Right.
there are multiple ways. So first of all, explicit waiting is the first mechanism you have to implement on the synchronous calls and make sure you wait for your element to appear before you proceed to actually query it on the screen. But you brought another very sensitive topic, which a lot of beginners completely omit, is network mocking, or we call network stubbing too, right? So when people omit this and try to do live requests, especially like for authentication, right, or third-party dependency, that's where the most test failures are, and that's where the most flakiness come from. And I noticed the difference between 80% stability on test execution, 99% stability, as you mentioned, is actually interceptors or network mocking, where actually you intercept the live request and substitute it with the canned data mocked response. And this is where I think that your tests become very stable, because now you don't rely on these live calls anymore. So again, this particular hurdle actually have two solutions, right? Is explicit waiting for live tests, which I don't like personally because live tests always flaky, and move towards network stubbing, or we call network mocking interchangeably, to actually get stability now, because you are completely cut off your web application from the backend, and now you are in full control. And that's where we get 99% stability. Again, we have in our advanced course a dedicated module for network mocking, intercepting, and actually we have particular videos where Vasyl show how to do explicit waits. And again, we're going to show, again, we're going to put this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 problem and solution in a video description. We're going to point to certain modules and videos where you can actually go more in details and find out about this solution. So let's move to the third one. And third hurdle is actually my favorite one. I mean, all of them are my favorites, but this is my favorite one because this is the first thing that reveals if you are a beginner. And this is debugging your test. Debugging test is show the master skills of how to go down to the problem. And during our live interviews, when we actually hiring for our consulting work, that's where a lot of people fail the interviews, because debugging skill reveals how in depth you know the framework. And Vasyl gonna reveal right now how he finds out if the candidate for the interview is the beginner or a senior person. Vasyl?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes you just don't need to give the candidate the homework. Only the thing you need a 15 minutes of his or her time and actually ask about let's debug this code. You got the broken test, please fix it for me, right? And it's not an easy it's not an easy task, obviously, but if you're using the Playwright tools or the debugging tools in the right way, you would actually find out fix the test faster than if you would use the console log right here. I'm using there's nothing wrong with console log, right? I'm using it a lot, but what I'm saying is just that there are more effective tools and you can resolve issues faster if you're using the debugging tool properly. So for somebody who is junior, the console log is a buddy. The console log is still a buddy for me if I want to log something at some point. But to actually fix the broken test, I always go first with the breakpoints and the Playwright tracer. Actually, my favorite one is a Playwright tracer. I also opened the documentation. You can see it in the link down description. This is why a lot of folks actually love in Playwright. So you can see the state of your application at every point of time, and as well with the network. You can download this result, share with your team, and there is no phrases like this work on my machine. You don't need to record anything because there is a Playwright trace viewer for you. And then another thing a lot of folks don't know is the breakpoints. If you don't know about this, those are those red dots. So once you're running those tests and putting the breakpoint right there, so you're basically saying, hey, Playwright, I just want you to stop at this point. Do not run further. Just stop at this point, and you can debug your application right there. We're also showing another video in our course about this debugging and how to debug properly. And that's the perfect solution for the senior. And if you want to show how to properly debug your test.
Thank you, Vasyl, for sharing this. And you're absolutely right. Console logs, I would rephrase a little bit or probably elaborate. Don't get me wrong, console logs, even myself and Vasyl, we still use them day and night. We use console logs even in the XUI test for the iOS native automation. However, during the interview, a lot of people or a lot of interviewers will ask you to debug more thoroughly, and you need to use breakpoints. And in the context of the Playwright, I personally think that tracer viewer that Vasyl shared with you, and again, he's going to share the link to the documentation, the video for that, is a life changer. And that's where you can go in depth. And when there are certain failures you cannot get like from the first site or console log, you need to go deeper. That's why I need to stop the test and see what's happening with the web application. Could be a bug actually, not your test. So that's how a lot of SDETs find the bugs during test development, not during test execution, because they figure out that because they put application in a weird state, right, during debugging process, and like, oh, there's a bug. So that's where most bugs come in automation, not during execution, during test creation. Great point, and please take it seriously. Again, Vasyl will share resources for the tracer viewer and also point to the part of our course where he actually goes in depth this. And for the matter of fact, when we build the Engenious University, we look at different courses out there and figure out that everybody try to cover them in surface, right? Like basically they don't go in depth. What we decided to do, we decided to break to two courses. The first is true beginners who never done automation before, completely free, and it's available for you. And again, you can find our Engenious University link in the description of this video. Just go try it out. It's free, right? Nothing you have to obligate, just try it out. But then for those people who already been in the game for a while and would like to skill up or prepare for the interview and need to shine out with skills, that's where we go in the topics, very sensitive topics that comes from the field. Because Vasyl, myself, we run through a lot of projects and enterprises, startups, and we bring this context into our courses. And we notice that very few engineers know how to debug properly. And that's why we bring this hurdle and offer you a solution. Thank you for sharing, Vasyl. Let's shift to another one. And another one, I wouldn't say it's my favorite because, like I said, all of them favorite. But I noticed this one is, and we go in the progression, right? This one is actually the one is clearly defining the seniority of your skills is running tests in the CI. And when I interviewed myself, a lot of folks, or working with the people in the field in the different companies, I realized that 99% of web automation engineers are clueless about test operation, test ops, right? Okay, they basically write their tests and run them locally. That's all they do. And then the question them how you now scale up and you have 1,000 tests. How are you going to run them in CI in 5 minutes? Like this is a normal task. Like how you gonna if the web CI for the web engineers, right? When they're in the React JS, they actually develop and run it and they deploy from local environment or like pull requests, like some environment in a container in a Docker into like staging or dev environment or promote to prod. We need to run tests, but we cannot run tests for hours. If we have thousands of them, we need to run them in minutes. That's how long CI takes. The probably the longest CI pull request checklist, linters, unit test takes probably 5 to 10 minutes. So nobody gonna wait for your test to run like all day. Yes, a lot of folks say we can run them nightly, but who cares if they run nightly? Then you have to deal with them. You need to actually look at the result each PR and see who broke it. And we say, okay, I need to run it. And then when you push the ball further, say I need to run it against certain versions of browsers and working with solutions like Browser Stack or Sauce Labs or Lambda test, or create your in-house infrastructure in AWS and containerize it, have a different browser coverage, shard test appropriately, use the impact analysis. Everybody is like gone, done. Like they have no, I'm sorry, I haven't tried this before. So that's the next hurdle that clearly defines your seniority level. And we're still going to show that that's where the what's the solution for this, and how to actually make your weakness as a strength. Vasyl?
Yeah, I don't have any file for Rookie because obviously a Rookie would not set up, the CI/CD as you mentioned, Igor. But as some senior SDET, what you mentioned, Igor, first of all, we need to care about the browsers, right? And if you're running your test on the Windows machine, you obviously cannot run those tests on the Safari browser. So first of all, you need to think about different browser and who is the user of your application, right? If it is web, so obviously Safari, iPhone, and Chrome. But we cannot allow ourselves to run the test only on Chromium. So first of all, the senior SDET would focus on that part. And of course, the mobile devices, but that's a whole another topic, I guess. And of course, the CI/CD, first of all, the senior would think actually about the integration level, how to integrate those tests into the pipelines. I guess that's a quick summary. Nothing more to add here. What you mentioned is clearly summarized that topic.
Absolutely. We're actually working right now. We don't have a module in the course for this, but we're going to have a dedicated module. We're going to show like GitHub Actions, integration, and integration with different CI systems. We're going to cover pretty much the most famous ones like Browser Stack, Sauce Labs, Lambda Test. If you want to use outsource the solution to the third-party ones. And we're also going to show you how to run it in GitHub. And again, there's no limit. It's just you have to understand the cost, like how much you're willing to spend, what's your budget on this. But most importantly, have a strategy for this. And at some point of your career, your manager, your leadership will come to you and ask for that 100%. And we've done a lot of consulting work around this where we're helping companies to set up this complex CI. And a lot of times we actually reveal the test poorly written when actually the tests are supposed to be hermetic. They're supposed to be isolated, right? And we've seen like one account shared across 10 tests. I mean, this is like impossible to shard. So it works locally perfectly fine. But once you start actually throwing your test in the CI and run them in some other environments in parallel, they'll start failing. So again, this reveals the difference between your seniority level and how experienced you are. So don't discount just on running tests locally. Think about CI integration, like Circle CI, GitHub Actions. There's Bitrise, so many CI system out there right now. Jenkins, don't forget about Jenkins, the free one, right? That will trigger your test, right? So you have to work with the team of ops to actually create webhooks, which will trigger your all Playwright test on a pull request base or on a promoting environment basis, right? That's the first thing. And the second is actually running it somewhere. And somewhere could be your in-house infrastructure or, like I mentioned, third-party solution. So you have to think about all the things. Again, we are planning to have a separate module. We don't have it yet, but we will announce it when we have it in our course, that we're going to actually go in depth into this topic, because again, not many courses reveal this. And I think this is a very important topic, test operations, right? So saying this, we promote ourselves to the final, the fifth one, and it is advanced features of Playwright and how to utilize them to actually make your test resilient. Vasyl, would like to reveal them, please?
Sure. So right there, as you know, as a for junior QA, I don't really have nothing to show you, Igor, because as a junior, you won't use those advanced features, right? You would just go with a simple test, maybe generated by the Playwright recorder. I'm not saying it bad, but the Playwright recorder would just would just record the default test. Those might be working, not for a long time, but still, it is what it is. From the pros perspective, I have multiple things here. If you know about the fixture, it's actually beloved things in the Playwright community. We love to create a new browser context, extend the test scenarios, test methods, and actually generate new context. So we control the context of the browser. So imagine you have the 100 tests, and all of them are checking just about visibility of the elements. It doesn't make sense to restart the browser again and again. This what would you do to save 5-10 minutes? And another thing, it would be network interception, which we mentioned before. Nothing more to add here. If you want a stable solution, this is your buddy while you're writing your test. My favorite thing is also, maybe not my favorite, but is actually mobile emulation. The small screens. I see a lot of issue once there is a small screen. For example, some elements are not appearing. The senior QA would always think about the page object and the emulation itself, because the elements could be named different. There could be different selectors depending on the dimensions. So, and this is another thing which somebody who is the senior should be focused on.
Great, thank you for sharing. Yeah, definitely. Considering responsive design for the mobile web, we're talking about mobile web, is very important, because I would say 80% of users are actually using mobile devices, not the desktop browsers. Therefore, it is very, very important to consider. Thank you for sharing this. Again, there are more features that baked into the Playwright, which we cannot cover due to the time frame of this podcast. But leave a comment below what else you would like to hear from us or see in our podcast. We'll be more than happy to share this in the future and prepare for you. We try to serve our community, help you guys to excel. And this is a tough market, right? A lot of people talk about generative AI and quality optimizations, but guess what? What I see in today's market, that manual testers still get hired. Big chunk of the companies still haven't shifted left. They don't have even a well automation strategy, and this is the fact. It's a reality. 2025. So there's a lot of room for improvement, and we are trying to help you. By the way, we have a Discord community, and you can see the link to our dedicated Discord, where Vasyl, myself, and everybody else from Engenious company, plus 500 extra people like yourself, plus industry professionals who are sharing their ideas in our Discord channel. Subscribe to our Discord, ask questions there. By the way, we see a lot of our students continuously asking for help. 24/7 we are helping them with the answers. You can see we respond pretty quickly there. So waiting for you in our Discord. Just to wrapping up our podcast today, I would like to thank Vasyl for preparing these quick demos. Again, you're going to find the links to our courses where we actually open up these topics. We go in depth into those topics which were presented today. Again, those 5 things were defined from a lot of interviews we conducted over the years,
Right.
and keep doing that on a monthly basis. We see how the candidates actually where they're running short. So we want you to be prepared for this. Not only that, we want you to focus on your career, right? You can actually present it to your management as improvement to existing frameworks, which obviously give you a better ratings in your semi-annual or annual reviews. Again, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button if you like our videos and content. And again, Engenious University, we are, like I mentioned, update content weekly there. So subscribe, learn with us, give us feedback. We're always there for you. Vasyl, thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, Igor, and thank you for watching this video. And as Igor mentioned, I will also left the GitHub link to all this solution and all this rookie and pro solutions on the code interview or code challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't wait any longer. Practice right now. See you in our next podcast next week. Thank you.
Bye-bye.